What's going on, guys? Pixelated here, back at it again with another video. I've got a special video for you today. It is another truth segment where we pit two sneakers against each other and find out which one comes out on top. In order to do this, we compare them in 3 different categories to cover the main aspects of any sneaker. These categories are the fit, comfort, and style categories. The first of the 2 sneakers we're comparing today is the ever so popular Bape NMD collab with 2 huge brands, Bape and Adidas. The secondary sneaker in this legendary battle is the older classic silhouette, the Supreme Up-Tempo, a collab with 2 just as large, if not larger brands, Supreme and Nike. I already know this is a mixed bag for the new age sneakerheads, but with that being said, without further ado, let's get this started. First category in this battle is the fit category. In this category, we look at the upper of the sneakers, how well they hold up, and how they compare against each other to provide the best wearing experience to the rightful sneakerhead. The Supreme Nike collab, the Up-Tempo, the Supreme Up-Tempo, the Sup-Tempo is made of classic legacy materials such as nubuck and this inner cloth lining. The separated tongue made of the same material. The upper is very bulky and holds shape very well. We can see it right here. The lacing system on this sneaker definitely will help give the sneaker a better lockdown, but the sneaker as a whole is already so chunky and you're already getting a huggable fit right off the bat. The lacing system is necessary, but only really contributes maybe 10% to the overall fit. This is just to give you an idea of how significantly chunky this whole shoe is. It's not just for show, there is actual thick, rugged material on this sneaker. It is there, it is solid, it'll keep your foot in place, and it'll keep them protected from outside forces in the likely case that you bang your foot against a solid or tough surface. The pull tabs on the heel and the tongue make for a supremely easy wearing experience, even when putting them on. It is also important to note that this was originally made as a basketball shoe, so there is ample ankle and heel support for anyone that's looking for that. Obviously, basketball shoes have far advanced now, so don't be the dinosaur that wears these on the court. But if you're looking for something that's less loosey-goosey than the typical NMDs for casual wear, these are definitely a good contender for that. The Adidas Bape NMD, on the other hand, has a fully nylon upper. A lot of people make the mistake of assuming that it's all mesh. Trust me, there are people out there that pretty much claim every non-prime-knit NMD as mesh. Let me tell you, these are nothing close to mesh. Thank the Lord for that. The nylon has this shiny finish to it as well, so it looks kind of like satin. It gives it a very premium look. Anyways, this shows that the sneaker itself is almost the complete opposite of the Supreme Up-Tempos, as it has no rigidity, no heel or ankle support. Well, there's a little bit of ankle support. You can see this heel counter is pretty sturdy, and there's like a fortifying panel down here that holds the shape of the heel. But aside from that, there isn't much, if anything, and the upper pretty much has as much give as a sneaker can have. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing though. For the summer, this might actually help keep the sneaker more breathable. Although there are no perforations or areas to allow for airflow to your foot, these will definitely get your feet sweating less than the Supreme Up-Tempos on a hot day. You do get a little bit of padding in the heel for a better fit as well. This doesn't do much to actually support your foot though. The upper will hug around your foot like a glove though, just because it is a malleable fabric and loses shape easy. But as NMDs are so famous for, the lacing system doesn't provide much function at all. Compared to these, the Sup-Tempo lacing system is a godsend. That's not to bash on the Bape NMDs, as it really doesn't need one, but it is a little deceptive when you know you could probably do without them. With that being said, it is definitely a design cue, and the shoes wouldn't look as good without them. The truth is, the upper of this is a great idea for the summer to keep your feet somewhat breathable, although the material isn't necessarily breathable like prime-knit NMDs. Prime-knit NMDs are far better for breathability, but the thinness of the material gives it the edge in terms of breathability versus the Supreme Up-Tempo. In terms of support, there obviously isn't any, and the fact that these are a low-cut sneaker doesn't help. So if you plan on running or making sharp turns, cutting corners, etc., these probably aren't the best sneakers for you to do that in. Side note, definitely never play basketball in any sort of NMD unless you're trying to lose a ligament or compromise your joint structure, aka shatter some bones. Overall though, the Bape NMD might be a better fit for a casual summer shoe, but the Sup-Tempo just provides more protection and support when it comes to the heel and ankle, as well as keeping your foot in place. I'm going to have to give this category to the Nike collab. The Supreme Up-Tempo wins the fit category. On to the next category. We're now looking at comfort. In this category, we are going to take a look at the midsole, the tech involved, and determine just how well it fares in providing the wearer with a comfortable walking experience. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, if you ain't walking, you ain't talking. What does that mean? I don't know exactly, but we got to keep the video moving forward, so let's keep it going. The Supreme Up-Tempo has the classic Nike Air full midsole unit. It goes from front to back to front, whatever you want to call it. This is by no means a new cushioning technology. Invented decades back, this is the type of stuff your parents were introduced to, so don't expect anything revolutionary from it. To add to it, the Up-Tempo midsole in general is this chunky piece of EVA foam or hard rubber. The midsole is so chunky, you actually don't see it bend or flex much at all when you're walking, which to be honest, I think is kind of cool. You almost always see the midsole flex when you're walking in any other sneaker. At the same time, it's not really uncomfortable. It gets the job done. You have this air unit and a chunky midsole underneath your foot to keep you a little elevated from the ground. Little tip for you short folk, this might give you an inch right here. Basically like wearing heels without the embarrassment for a dude. With that being said, I still enjoy wearing these. They're not uncomfortable by any means. The chunkiness of the midsole and air unit actually prevent you from feeling little pieces on the ground as well. I'm sure you've had that experience where you wear flats or like Vans or Chucks and you walk over a bunch of gravel or pebbles and you can feel them right under your foot. You will definitely not feel that with these. Just keep in mind that it does add to the weight of the shoe. So if that's something that puts you off from buying or wearing a shoe, this shoe is relatively heavier than the Bape NMD or any NMD in general. It's not strenuously heavier. You're not gonna feel it like you're not gonna feel like you're giving your calves or your ankle a hypertrophy workout or a workout where you're building muscle, but it is a difference worth mentioning. The Bape NMD has the oh so familiar NMD Boost midsole. Boost, as we all know, is relatively new technology, especially when comparing to age-old tech like Nike Air. I really can't make this any more simpler. Yes, this is an NMD, so you won't get the support of something like an Ultra Boost, but you will definitely feel that boost cushioning in every step. The Boost midsole is soft and the compression is felt especially at points of most pressure like the heel or the toe. Depending on how you walk, I can definitely tell you that I feel it right in the heel and it's a very welcome feeling. The landing is soft every time I strike the floor with my heel. One thing to note though is that Boost midsoles are very dense, typically compared to a midsole that is essentially hollow plastic, confining air. So the weight is felt since the midsole is the heaviest part of the sneaker. Once again, it's not something that's going to tire your leg out because, oh no, it has a bit of weight. The pros in comfort far outweigh any possible cons. Overall, I enjoy the experience of walking in the sub-tempos just because that chunky midsole keeps you a good distance from the ground and you really do feel authoritative walking in such a solid chunky shoe, but you just can't beat the Boost midsole of an NMD. The cushioning provided by the Bape NMD Boost midsole far outweighs that of the chunky sub-tempo, and for that reason, the Bape NMD takes the comfort category. On to the final category, it is the style category. As always, a disclaimer, style is purely subjective, in most cases at least, and always consider your personal taste and what you'd wear before taking someone else's opinion. With that out of the way, let's get into it. The Supreme Up-Tempo is Supreme's take on the classic Nike Air more up-tempo. Of course, the shoe itself is largely unchanged, save for the really obvious modification of replacing the chunky letters that normally spell out Air, A-I-R, on both sides of the sneaker to spell out the brand's name, Supreme, across the entire sneaker. I thought this was a simple yet genius idea. It's just one of those things where you look at it and say, of course they would do that, but at the same time you're thinking, that's pretty crafty. The sneaker is a deep red and white colorway, signature Supreme colorways akin to a classic Supreme BOGO tee or just the Supreme box logo in general, which is simply a red rectangle with Supreme text in white. Simple, effective as fuck. Now I already know this based on my previous videos that most new sneakerheads think the up-tempo silhouette in general is hideous, so I'm already expecting a few roasts beforehand. Got my emotional shield powered up and ready to go. I really like the up-tempo silhouette though, and I thought this was such a unique concept. The deep red is pretty loud, so don't expect these to match with every outfit. It can't be an everyday sneaker for that very reason, but it's definitely an eye catcher when you do wear them. The beauty of a bulky silhouette like this is that you don't have to have super tapered pants and joggers in order to pull them off. Plus, these actually look good with shorts, which was a surprise to me even though it shouldn't be due to its origins as a ball shoe. The Bape NMD is a pretty simple silhouette, and that's not Bape's fault. The NMD itself is a very simple and minimalist sneaker, so you have to take that into consideration when you're looking at these. The upper is pretty much a typical NMD, but with Bape's signature ape camo print splayed all over it. We have the 3 stripes on the lateral and medial side of the sneaker, as well as the laces and lace cage in all white. Now, as much as people talk smack about these because they're nothing special, they're a regular NMD, 2, they're not prime knit. I personally love the way these look. The nylon material they used for the upper works perfectly because it allows the Bape camo print to be vibrant and crisp. If you saw the prime knit prototype for these, you'd see exactly why this was a better option. It just looked dull and washed out on prime knit, and it gives the upper this silky sheen that kind of makes it look like it was made of some premium material such as satin, as I mentioned earlier. Sure, that's a little deceptive, but if you can pull the look off without using material that will potentially increase the retail price of the shoe, I'm always for that. With that being said though, these really are just another NMD. When it comes to style, camo is generally very versatile, but this vibrant Bape camo might be the exception, and on sneakers it's usually not as versatile. Generally, both sneakers in this battle aren't very versatile, and I can't necessarily say one is objectively better than the other. I like them both, but my preference of something unique and appreciation for shoes that actually pull off a proper bulky look leads me to choose the big boy Nike Subtempo right here. And there you have it. The Bape NMD put up a good fight and won in the comfort category, which some might argue is the most important category, but Big Red won the other 2 categories to take the cake and is the winner of this battle. With that being said, that's the end of my video. If you took anything from it, please hit that like button. Let your friends know Pix does the dopest on-foot reviews and comparisons, and subscribe for more juicy content. Catch you later. Pixelated out.